All right, let's talk about the while loop now. So if we take a look at the while loop, same thing pretty much as the for loop. You can kind of interchange them depending on what the needs are and which one you like better. For the for loop, remember there were three parts. You initialized the variable, you had your condition that needed to be met, and then you had to increment or you decremented the variables. It was your counter that you had to basically increment or decrement. Because if you didn't do that, you'd end up having an infinite loop. So let's take a look at the first one. We've declared our variable. Notice that it's outside of the loop, these curly brackets right here. So you've done that. The condition is x is less than 5, and it's going to print out x. And so you should get 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's run it again because those numbers are actually wrong there. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's going to print out x. You can do x plus plus. It's just the same thing with a for loop. X equals x plus 1, x plus equals 1, plus plus x. Now the system.out print line here is because we're just doing a print on one line, so we're printing out another line so we don't have everything kind of bunched together. Second loop, we're decrementing it, int y equals 5, while y is less than 1, print y minus equal 3. Again, that's the same thing as y equals y minus 1. And all that does is it takes the starting value of 5, goes through the loop, decreases it by 3, goes through the loop, decreases by 3, and then the second time it goes through the loop, it doesn't go anymore because it's -1, and -1 is not greater than 1. Okay, so then we're going to do a system.out print line again to print this thing. And then this one I kind of threw a little bit of a curveball at you because before it was 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 2, etc. This one I did an increment and a decrement in the while loop. So in this one, while a is less than 3, so you notice you declare your variable outside the while loop. And then you go while a is less than or equal to 3. And then we declared our second inner loops variable right inside that while loop. Now this one can only be read within these brackets. So these brackets, the b can be read. A can be read outside here. So if you wanted to, test to see what a was, you could do that, but b would not necessarily be done in that. You couldn't do that there. So if we tried to say so b, it wouldn't read it because it doesn't. B is outside of the loop. If you change, or B is stuck inside the inner loop, or the outer loop, it's still in the loop, while B is outside the loop. So if you wanted to test what A was, you could, that's BA. There, A, you can actually read that outside the loop, but not B. If you wanted to read B outside of the loop, that variable, or make changes to it, you'd have to initialize the variable B here. So if we did that and drag it out, we could throw that. The only issue with that is that if we did that, and for any reason, you would have to, once this loop runs through one time right here, you would have to reinitialize b to equal 3. Because if you didn't do that, b would always equal 3 in the loop, and b would never, because you decrement it, b would b would be equal 0 at the end of the loop. So you have to reinitialize it to 3. If you didn't do that, because b is 0, because it's counting down, it would never go into this part of the loop. It would always go to the while and say, well, that's not, it's already 0. It's not greater than 0, so don't even do the loop. So we can do that. We can change that around. So b equals 3, and that'll work fine. I'll put that semicolon in there. All right. So again, how this works, hits the first loop, checks to see if a is less than 3 because it's 0, it does. Shoots down through here. B is also greater than 0, it's 3 at this point. And then it just runs through, prints out, in this case, 1, 3. Comes up, subtracts 1 from B, goes to the loop. Does the inner loop till its completion, goes up to the outer loop, does that till its completion, and then you're done. And then you will get the same values that you got there when you run the program. So go ahead and mess around with these loops, see what happens, see if you can get some different values out of it, and all will be good. All right, on to the do while.